Sweet beats, Jorge. I thought I was gonna go deaf after the cheers of glee. Oh, hey! Hi! It's me, Wilma Fingerdoo, with this week's review of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 10, Episode 8. And all I have to say is, Jorge, drink me! Oh, look at you with the garnish like a person in the world. Did you do Emma's summer sangria? All right, so for those of you drinking along at home, this is, well, there's some Prosecco, there's a bit of vodka, there's a bit of melon liqueur, there's a bit of banana liqueur, and there's some pink grapefruit juice. This is the summer sangria. Nice thing about this is you can make them to order, but just make a jug. Who doesn't love a jug? Serious. And of course, that's graciously been supplied by the fine folks here at Wilma Bar and Lounge 996 Queen Street East. Now, let's get to it. We started the episode off by saying goodbye to Monique. And I have to just say, I'm still a little sad. I'm a little bitter. I'm sorry that she didn't want it more or try harder. I just think that she let a lot of people down, including RuPaul. Seriously. You could see the other girls felt that in the room. Something else that was very clear was that nobody was happy that the Vixen was still there. And the Vixen could feel it. Which I have to say, I thought she was gonna start, kicking butts and taking names and heads and limbs and I thought, but she held herself together. I just have to say, something about being told by a whole room full of people that they want you to go and not the way you see it certainly takes a lot of wind out of a sail, I'm just saying. Of course, a big question on everybody's mind was, are Eureka and the Vixen cool now? Well, I really enjoyed the fact that neither of them said yes. Eureka recognized this as a battle that's just going to get lost, so why try? And the victim was being the victim. So, I have to say, I also was very sorry that the Vixen is being a victim and taking such things on so personally. Like, it's become personal. It's now she is in that headspace where she has to hate Eureka because she made such a big deal out of it. If she were to change now, she'd be a wimp. And it's almost for her own pride that she's sticking to her bear-like 10 of a dial, is all I'm saying. And so serious. Something else about this workroom that shocked me just a little bit was Monet saying that she felt Aquarius shouldn't have won. In fact, she felt that she should have won. Now, I'm going to say, she did a great job. She did a great job. But a lot of people there expected that great job. And I'm not saying that she didn't do a good job. I just felt that it was good. It was good. It wasn't fantastic. It wasn't great. A lot of what she did was so subtle that it was easy to just kind of take it for granted. She was Maya Angelou. Nobody expected any of that business from Aquaria. She was fast, she was funny, she looked like her. It was so hilarious. That, I think, is what separated the two of them. I don't know if Monet could have done better, but no one expected that good out of Aquaria. I'm just saying. Speaking of Monet, she whipped out that sponge again in the workroom, eh? Seriously. It's like, I thought we were safe. I didn't even want to mention it on a past review because I thought I would curse it and bring it, well, there it is. I didn't even have to do it, there it is. I was so happy to see somebody think they were stronger than Cameron because clearly none of them are. It's just, I think that Asia's, just wanted a reason to watch Cameron's arm bulge and flex is all I'm saying. And I had no problem with it. I was completely on that page, I'm just saying. But they were saved by the bell because it was time for a message from Ru, except it wasn't from Ru, it was from Chad Michaels with a very Cher-ific message laden with innuendo and foreshadowing things to come. And before we could think about it too much, well, there was Ru with the mini challenge, and the mini challenge was very specific as well. It was a slap fest. Make Ru slap you. I love that some of these girls didn't have to try hard. I love that Aquaria just said the year she was born. I almost slapped myself when she said it. I have shoes older than her. I'm just saying, I'm not proud of them, but I have them. But the girl who really took one for the team was Asia. I am so surprised that Ru made contact. Not that she made contact at all, but that she made it with Asia. There were a couple of girls I figured she'd slap before her, and I'm not going to name who. That said, she won the mini challenge, and rightly so. I mean, my ears are still ringing. That was a full, ooh, and she had a long reach, that Ru. That's a lot of torque on that arc, you know what I'm saying? Torque on that arc. As my good friend Andrew Reynolds would say, is not a euphemism. Saying. And that's when Ru lifted the mysterious fog of innuendo, which I hear happens when he eats Mexican at lunch. I'm just saying. And revealed to the girls that this week's main challenge was not only a rusical, but it was the unauthorized biography of Cher. And if that wasn't enough, they would all be singing live. Oh, you could hear some Pampers get pooped right there. Poor Eureka. Oh my God, she looked nervous. There wasn't a lot of confidence on quite a few of these girls' faces. And I have to say, when Eureka started to have her little panic attack on stage, and I'm not going to say anything about that. It was, yes, fair, everyone had to sing and dance at the same time. But then my attitude was, well, in the past, they've done the vocal thing on one day and the dance thing on the other. But that's because it was pre-recorded. They were still lip-syncing. It wasn't live singing. So Eureka had to sing, but she stumbled, she looked nervous, you could see that she couldn't walk and chew gum at the same time, is all I'm saying. Poor sweet baby girl. The other person who had a lot of problems during the rehearsal was Cameron. And again, it seemed to be down to thinking about where to place their feet over what the hell's coming out of their face hole. And I get that, but no one else was having problems. It wasn't like the rest of the girls, except for one, was having all the problems in the world. It was just those two. And good for them, they surprised everyone. I am just gonna say, sounds like I've had Mexican. I am just gonna say that if Eureka had stayed at that level that she did right off of the top, and it was not a good level, it was barely off the ground, it was the level. It's not even one, it's where you start. Oh, my heart broke for her. But she warmed up, she got better, she got comfortable with it, took some chances. The judges saw it, I saw it, you saw it, everyone saw it. Hard to miss Eureka, especially when she's dressed like a silver disco ball, I'm just saying. So Cameron, not only did she kill that, she was first. Nothing says follow that bitches better than Cher than going out on stage, doing that, and leaving that unsaid, follow that bitches, which she did. Everyone else was a poor comparison after. Yes, there were some good ones. Monet did an excellent Cher. She did an excellent Cher. But that runway, shame on her. You know, here's the thing. I know that she was saying in her dialogue that this was a proud moment as a chubby kid. Well, I was a chubby. I'm not cutting. I want to say that I'm coming from that mentality. I understand that. So then why go on stage, get read for your minge, your tape, say I know, and sabotage your emotional moment? Why didn't she work to make that the best moment, to absolutely pinpoint a rough moment she's overcome in the history of her? I'm so sorry for her, because the only thing that stopped her from being in the top two, well, she was the top two, but from winning this had to be that runway. I'm sorry, but the Vixen sucked a lot of things, and none of them good. None of them Cher would put in her mouth, I am just saying. And the one thing that I thought was a shame was that she was the one who looked the most like Cher. She's skinny, she's gorgeous, that wig was stunning. Physically, if they had put her lit behind a screen and all you saw was the silhouette, you would have sworn that was Cher. It looked just like her. But unfortunately, she wasn't connecting with the audience. She didn't sound like her at all. And even her excuse about being Cher with Donny Osmond and the Jackson 5, how many were there? And the Osmonds, the whole Donny and the Osmonds, is that what they called them? The Osmonds? When did they start doing, when he left? That makes sense. I mean, seriously, the Vixen sounded just like Vic Damone. And if I'm the only person alive who knows who that is, I just want to die. I hope this kills me. The other girl that sucked, of course, was Asia, bless her. I like that everyone had a reference to Asia doing Cher that wasn't great, but still was musical, because Medea, that doesn't evoke bad singing, I'm just saying. She doesn't sound like Cher. And I have to tell you, I wasn't a huge fan of her runway. I liked it. It was whimsical and fun. But this whole runway disappointed me, because when I hear like it's a sparkle challenge, I expect more. I expect Eureka coming down that runway like a human disco ball. The fact that she was the only one who truly glittered like that. I liked the Vixen's dress, don't get me wrong. I didn't hate Monet's look. Cracker was stunning, but Eureka glittered. And that's why she wasn't in the bottom this week. That and the fact that she improved. I'm glad they noticed that, seriously. I want to say that as bad as Aquarius Cher was, and it really wasn't that much, she had one moment of Cher. These cheap costumes, like that was Cher. The rest of it, she's another one who's skinny, but she didn't look like Cher to me. But I didn't hate her Cher. But that runway was stunning. That whole thing with the eyes. I mean, again, it wasn't my favorite because it didn't glitter the way I think it should have. She should have been covered in just even the nude glitter. And these girls should have been looked like they were rolled in Swarovski crystals. Again, Eureka. I almost had retina damage, and I've had laser eye surgery. I know it feels like. Seriously. One thing that I thought for sure would help all of these girls out was Ru's visit to the workroom this week. I was surprised when Monet said that she sang opera, and then she started singing that very low voice, and I thought she may have missed an opportunity to sing in Cher's Manly Range, which was the name of my one-woman show. The point is, I was very impressed with what she ended up presenting. I also thought that Ru dropped some good tips to some of these girls, and she really seemed to reach out to the Vixen. She definitely asked her whether she and Eureka had solved or come to an agreement of cohabitation, and she said no. In her defense, so did Eureka. But Eureka's no was from I know it's not happening, so I'm not going to worry about it. The Vixen's no came from, I think, like I said, that bitter place that just wouldn't let her let it go. I'm not her. I don't live her life. That's how I see things. I'm just saying. I'm so glad that Asia took time from her prep and focusing, and when it was all said and done, didn't blame the Vixen for it when she was in the bottom. But she did take time out of her prep to have a chat with the Vixen. And I'm just gonna say, clearly, she is the only person in that workroom who, after voting the Vixen to go home, could have come up to her at this point and said what she said. The Vixen needed to hear it. The other girls, they'd all said the same thing, and the Vixen hadn't heard it at all. And I think that it was the right time. I think that the Vixen was seeing the writing on the wall and was seeing that this issue with Eureka was taking over. And Asia was able to point out to her that these were happening, finally. And even though the Vixen didn't verbally say, you're right, I'm wrong, or any of that, you could tell that there's at least a crack in that crust. Seriously. But as lovely as the jester was, I have a fear that if Asia isn't careful, she'll miscongeniality herself out of winning. I just like to put that pin in that. Yeah. Of course, Cracker was safe, and I think for this week, she was lucky-ish, because I think she could have tried harder. I really think she could have tried harder. She's been spending so much time in her own head lately that she's too close to it. She's trying to overthink it. How can I make this? And she's missing the little things. And the little thing for her was a big thing. She didn't sound like Cher until she got that mic up in her face. If she hadn't have done that, she could have been anybody. She could have been they could have said, that's Christina Aguilera. I go, okay. But she didn't suck. And the mic thing, it worked, even though you couldn't understand her. Sometimes, oh, Cher, oh. See, I wouldn't do better. I wouldn't do better. None of you girls. I wouldn't have done better. Maybe better than the Vixen. God bless Todrick Hall. Can I just say that? I just want to take a minute. His last year on social media has been very cathartic on a lot of levels. Good for you, Todrick. You fight that fight. I love you. No, I'm just saying, because you're so cute. I will say this. There's a point in the day, back in the day, when Todrick Hall would show up to help the girls choreography, and I look forward to it. He seems to be getting tougher and tougher, eh? Like he's expecting more for less, or more out of them, regardless of their level of comfort. And I get it. It's part of the challenge, and good for him. I'm glad that he's not making it easy. But there's also part of me where he's cracking the whip, and I'm all Todrick, my bad girl. also, remember, I was in a crowded bar, Wilma Bar and Lounge, 996 Queen Street East, right here in Toronto, with a bunch of people that were loving the Cher-athon. They were into it, they were happy, they were fabulous, and loud. So I was missing a few things. And one of the things I couldn't tell out of the gate and never got a resolution for was during Asia's Cher. Did she absolutely forget the words and then ad-lib that cover? Because good for her. That also saved her from, well, it didn't save her at all, did it? But I wish that somebody had made note of that. And then, obviously, the reason they didn't make note of it is that it was scripted, and I'm gonna give her points for fooling me if that's the case. I'm gonna watch the tape again. I'll get to the bottom of this. And this too. So it was no surprise that the bottom three were Aquaria, Asia, and the Vixen. And I just would like to say, I was a little surprised that Aquaria was in the bottom, but it was her Cher that put her there, bless her pointed little head. But it was her runway that kept her out. Nobody is surprised that the Vixen was in the bottom. She was the worst Cher. No matter what you say, no matter who you want to argue with, she was always going to be part of that equation. And I have to say, that lip sync, I thought for sure, just out of the gate, that Asia had a better costume to do it in. Because first of all, it was Delight's Groove is in the Heart. Who else wasn't lip syncing during that? Jorge, a little lip sync where you're doing your own little, you know, I got into it. I was all 1, 2, 3. I was there. And I stopped noticing. And then all of a sudden I saw that the Vixen had taken that skirt off. And I thought was pulling it out of the fire. I couldn't tell. There was a part of me right there when I thought that Cher wasn't going to send any of them home because, Cher. Tell Ru I called her Cher. Seriously, somebody hashtag it. Wilma called Ru Cher. Cher will love it. And that's when Ru turned to the Vixen, and I just thought for a second there that she was going to say, Shantae, you both stay. Because it was Cher. Cher's not easy. Cher's not easy. Even Ru's Cher sucks, but it's hilarious, let's just say it. Don't tell her I said that. And I didn't hate the Vixen's runway. I thought it was way better than Asia's. Suede shoes or no. But my hopes were dashed. Vixen was the sashayer this week. And I have to say, it was very, very obvious at Wilma Bar and Lounge, 996 Queen Street East, that people were not disappointed at her going. A lot of people cheered, there was a lot of loudness, and I have to say, my heart broke a little bit for the Vixen, because I think if there had been a redemption there and she was allowed to stay, especially after a little chat with Asia, she would have had some resolution on the show. But I like to think that something was sparked and the healing was starting, and then of course we've all seen her tweets. I'm just gonna say, God bless her. I hope that when she comes to Toronto, she has a fabulous time for Pride, because Toronto's a fabulous city. I hope all the girls from RuPaul's Drag Race who come have a fabulous time. I would like to say congratulations to Cameron for his first win, Sweet Marie, and the Ships at Sea. That's a ninja. Right in the middle, right under the radar, boom! And then she still, not only did she sound like Cher, she hit those notes! I'm just saying! Well done, Cameron. But now that the Vixen's gone, who's the weakest link? I'm so serious, because there's 6 girls left. Seriously, Asia's not been solid. She may have something to worry about. Eureka still comes off as insecure. That may have a lot to do with it. Cracker is in her head. It could be anybody's, I'm just saying. So, all you have to do is tune into RuPaul's Drag Race next week, and then after you're done, you come on back and see me so we can compare notes. Before you go, make sure you like this video, make sure you share it, and make sure that you subscribe. I would like to thank everyone who has been subscribing. God bless you. I also want to thank everyone who watched my last episode of Untucked, because it has almost broken the 10,000 viewed barrier. It will be my first video on YouTube that will have broken double digits on my channel. I have videos that are on Out TV's YouTube channel. You should check them out. They're hilarious. Old, but hilarious. They broke 10,000, some of them, too. maybe just the one. The point is, this will be my first one on this channel, so thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for coming back and tuning in. And for you new subscribers, thank you for catching up, because seriously, I can't say this enough. I'm a hoot. Till next week, miss me. Mwah. Seriously, Jorge, I love a summer sangria. And that is a euphemism.